What's up guys, Jerpa here, coming at you with another Redstone Basics video. And in this episode, we're going to be covering comparators. Now, comparators are kind of one of the most complicated Redstone pieces, in my opinion, because they do so many different things and you can use them in so many different ways. Like, you see the setup I have here to show you all the different things they can do. And my understanding of them isn't even that, like, crazy. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing that comparators do is they maintain a signal. So let's turn on our F3 screen here, and you can see in the right hand side when I look at this redstone dust, you'll see it says power is 15. And that makes sense because we learned in the first episode that power coming directly out of a lever is powered to 15, and it goes all the way down to 1 as you get further and further away. But here's the trick though, is I can put this whole line of comparators and still end up with a power level of 15. That being said, if we, if we grab that and move it back here and then lay some more dust down. So now we have a power level of 12 and power level of 12. So it just maintains. It doesn't like re-up it like a repeater does. It just maintains. And you can see that here too, is like we have a power level of 15, 14, 13, comparator, 13 again, 12, 11, comparator, 11 again. And then it continues deteriorating as we get further and further along. And the second thing it does is compares and subtracts. So this is one of the more complicated aspects of it, in my opinion. Is right now with the torch down and not lit, it's in compare mode, and when the torch up and lit, it's in subtract mode. So what that means is if we have, let's turn this on, and we look at the power level going in, it's power level of 12 and 12 coming out. But if we turn this on, this turns completely off. So what's happening is it's comparing the side input from the rear input, and if the side input is higher than what's coming in through the back, it's unpowered going out. And we can see that even more by turning that one on, turning that one off. So the power level going in is 14, 14 coming out. And if we turn that on, nothing happens. It's still 14 coming in and going out. Next up is subtract mode. And this is one of the cooler ones, although I have never used it in a build before. So let's turn this on. We've got 15 going in, right? So 15 here, 15 coming out. Now if we turn on this one, we have 15, 14, 13, 12, 11 coming into the side, 15 in through the back. So you subtract the side input from the rear input to get the output, which is 4. Make sense? One more example, in that if we have power level of 13 coming in through the back and a power level of 9 coming in through the side, we'll still get a power level of 4, just because it's rear minus side equals out. And if we do it this way, where we have a rear input of 13 and a side input of 14, we get nothing coming out because 13 minus 14 is actually -1, and you can't have negative redstone power. Moving on. Hey, turn off. Next up we can do, we can have clocks. This is just a really simple little clock setup here. And what we can do with that is once we press, that piston is just going to keep repeating. And we can speed it up by adding delay, or slow it down by adding delay, until we get to something like this. And we could even break it there, add another one of those on 4 ticks, and throw that there. Now we get a really slow clock, or a slightly faster clock, slightly slower. So you can really use comparators and repeaters together to come up with some really precise timings. Finally, we can use comparators to measure blocks. So we have all these different types of blocks here. And we're going to start just down here at the end with the simplest one, shulkers and chests. So see there's an output of 1 right now. And that's because there's 1 stack of items in the shulker box. But it's a little more complicated than that. There's I'll leave a link down in the description to like a little chart that will show you how many items you need to put, because it's not always intuitive. It's like a ratio of how many items are in the box compared to how many slots the box has. So right now we're getting a power level, but if we add in 1 more, we're still getting a power level of 2. But if we add in that many, however many that is, we get a power level of 8. But there's 3, 6, 14 14 stacks of items. And so let's grab those. And then of course when it's empty, it outputs a power level of 0. Same thing with the chests. They're identical. Oop, I saved these for the next example. Just grab a few of those. And you'll see there's actually no output in this chest. Oh, this is an ender chest. I was like, what is going on here? With the new blocks, ender chests look exactly the same as regular chests. So in the ender chest, you can't take an output from the comparator no matter what happens. They don't interact with them in any way. Jukeboxes. So right now there's nothing in here. Well, messed that up. So there's nothing in here, so you're not getting a power output. But if we put in a music disc, let's just grab one right here. And let's go ahead and grab another one. But if we put in a music disc, we get an output of 8 in that case, or 7 in that case. So it depends on the music disc that you have. Each one has a different power level. And I kind of already explained chests, and when I did shulker box, exactly the same. So you getting like a little, you end up getting a power supply. And again, I'll post a link in the description to a chart. Furnaces are kind of cool. You can put a stack in and get an output. So 1 stack has an output of 5. And that also works for fuel as well. So fuel also gives you an output. Let's take this and oops, yeah. And so now we have an output of 5 as well. But when we put both in, we get an output of 10. And if we had that completely smelted and put another stack of items and filled that stack back up, we would get an output of 15. This is a ender portal, or an end portal frame. So when there's no eye of ender in it, there is 0 output. Throw an eye of ender in it, it gets an output of 15. Those are the only 2 options for that one. Dispensers kind of work like chests, furnaces, and shulker boxes. It's dependent on how many items are in it. So 3 stacks gives you a power level of 5, and 1 stack gives you a power level of 2. Item frames are kind of one of the coolest ways that this works to me. Is when you have an item in there just regularly, you get a power output of 1. But when you turn it, now you have a power output of 2. Again for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the strongest one, and then it resets back to 0. Or resets back to 1, sorry. So if you remember in Hermitcraft right now, the stock exchange operates this way that Doc M built, where you turn the item frame a certain number of times and then press a button, and it works with these comparators. Hoppers, almost the exact same way as chests and furnaces. It just depends on how many slots there are. And since there's 5, each stack counts a little more. Grab those back. Droppers, same way. Minecarts with hoppers and minecarts with chests operate sort of similarly. So this one right here, it's on a rail, and you put an item in, and you get power. Same thing with a minecart with a hopper, you get power. However, if you have a minecart with a hopper and there's no rail under it, you get 0 power. And even more than that, it must be a detector rail in order for this to work. So once you put the detector rail down, all of a sudden you get power. Brewing stands, where'd my water bottles go? Throw some in there, and we get a power output. And this also works for ingredients as well. That's not an ingredient. Yeah, still not an ingredient. So it works for the ingredients. So in order to get full 15 power out of it, you need to have all of the ingredients, all the blaze powder, and all the water bottles in, and you'll get a power output of 15. Cake is kind of cool, and I'm going to switch over to survival mode and make myself hungry. Oops. Let's do 5 seconds. Really hungry. And better do like 2 seconds. 1 second. Yeah, there we go. So you see here with a full cake, you get a full power output of 14. And let's grab that, or not. I don't have any cake in my inventory. What is wrong with me? Oops. Give Jerpa cake. Cool. So when we eat that, there we go. Well, let's try that again. Put that. I am the worst at this. There. Okay. So output of 14. Hunger. And we'll just eat some of that. And now we have an output of 10. So depending on how much cake is there, depends on the power level. So the lowest one goes to 8. Cauldrons, they have a power level of 0 naturally. We throw water in there, and we have a power level of 3. Got water back out. And I'm not super familiar with cauldrons because I don't use them ever, because they're kind of useless, I think. Anyway, so another little thing we can do is we can pull signal through a block. So the comparator doesn't have to back up to the hopper. So like take it out, there's no, let's go back in creative mode, just to make life easier. There we go. So we'll throw that out there so we can see. And once you throw an item in, it pulls the signal through the block, kind of like a repeater will. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I've got time for today. So let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or anything to add to this. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my Let's Play world. Later, guys!